Welcome to Never Again is Now, a podcast about anti-Semitism. In this episode, we discuss how alumni can help counter anti-Semitism on American college campuses. I'm Evelyn Marcus, and in addition to being a psychologist, I'm featured in the documentary about anti-Semitism, Never Again is Now. I am a Dutch Jew and a daughter of Holocaust survivors. In 2006, I immigrated to the United States because of the rising anti-Semitism in Europe.
I am Phyllis Zimbler Miller, the founder of the free nonfiction Holocaust Theater Project, then edgethewedge.com. I grew up in a Midwestern town, Elgin, Illinois. It was not a Holocaust community. And yet, in September 1970, my U.S. Army officer husband and I were stationed in Munich, Germany. And this changed only 25 years after the end of World War II and the Holocaust. And this changed our lives as Jews forever.
Avi Gordon is the executive director of Alums for Campus Fairness, which harnesses the power of alumni to counter anti-Semitism on college campuses. In the past, he has worked for Israel, advocacy organizations such as Birthright, Stand With Us, Israel Engagement, and the American Jewish Committee. Avi, thank you for coming on our show.
Thank you for having me.
So, Avi, is it correct to say that the genesis of the organization came from three Vassar College graduates? And when was this? And was there a specific incident that motivated them to start the organization?
Sure. Well, thank you for having me, and it's an honor to be here. I also have I'm a third generation Holocaust survivor, so the Holocaust is very prominent in my family and in our familial history. So equally, the reason why I've been devoting my professional career to the Jewish community writ large. So Alums for Campus Fairness was founded about 8 or 9 years ago by our three brilliant co-founders, Dr. Mark Banchik, Laurie Josephs, and Susan Julian. And the three of them are Vassar alumni, graduated in the 80s from Vassar College, and they were noticing a pattern of what was going on campus at the time. And that was an incredible one-sidedness of this conversation when it comes to the anti-Israel, pro-Israel kind of side of things. It was very skewed to the anti-Israel side and to the anti-Semitic side of things. And they kind of put their heads together along with many other Vassar alumni and kind of said enough is enough. And they were able to bring their fellow alumni together under one roof and to have meaningful conversations with the administration and to create a meaningful presence on campus, in that there was then a balanced kind of approach afterwards of having pro-Israel speakers on campus and creating this kind of balanced conversation. The university and colleges in America are marketplaces. It's a marketplace of ideas. It's where ideas should be shared and should be respectfully debated. And unfortunately, what we see a lot on campus is that it's incredibly one-sided, and those who do support Israel or those who are Jewish get demonized, are unfortunately victims of double standards, etc. And that's where our Vassar alumni kind of got together, took a stand, and they created a really robust program that they said maybe this is something we can do on a national to scale this in a national way. So fast forward to a few years, they were able to create via their grassroots approach, be able to create new chapters of Alums for Campus Fairness in other smaller liberal colleges, and then fast forward even more to today, we have over 60 chapters serving nearly 40,000 members across the nation.
That's amazing. And so here we see a great inspiring example of how three people starting to speak up, make it grow into even 40,000 people who do the same thing. That's amazing and very inspiring, and a great example for all of us. Phyllis.
Yes, and since you've been the executive director, and I'm not sure how long, have you had to change, your strategy a little as anti-Semitism has gotten more and more prevalent on college campuses, and now extending not just about Israel, but also just attacking Jews?
Absolutely. So I've been in this role for 5 years now, a little over 5 years, and we've been luckily enough where we've been able to grow our staff. We've been able to grow our reach, obviously, and with that, the pro-Israel campus space is ever evolving. Obviously, every 4 years there's turnover, right? So every 4 years there's different nuances, different things happening, and I think certainly in the 5 years that I've been here under the helm, we've seen a number of changes, and I'll say even most recently from 2 years ago in 2021, in summer of 2021, when Israel had a skirmish, a war with Hamas. There was an incredible amount of digital hate that was happening. So we're in a digital first world now, from podcasts to Instagram, to now Threads, to everywhere in between. It's been really interesting to kind of watch the genesis of and the evolution of where undergraduate students kind of gather virtually, and that's what was happening during that time in 2021. It was on Instagram. There was tons of articles, pictures that were false against, saying, the genocidal Israeli military, things of that nature, and then also attacking Jews because Israel is a Jewish state, and they assume that everyone who's Jewish has the same political beliefs exactly as the leadership within Israel, and that's where it becomes anti-Semitic in nature. And it was really, it was really alarming. The pro-Israel campus space, luckily, is fused very well together because of the auspices of the Israel on Campus Coalition, which is the umbrella organization that brings all of our organizations together to speak and to coordinate our efforts together. And so we were able to kind of understand what was going on the digital space and understand what we can be doing about it. So, for us, we were regularly in contact with administrators, I should say, so that they understand kind of the severity what students are facing in the digital space. And it's something that's quite prevalent, certainly today. We're seeing, and what we're seeing is, from COVID, we had all this digital things that were happening. And then when they went back on campus, it was kind of translating then in a more visceral way on campus, in a more tangible way. Swastikas being drawn on campuses, whether it be at an AEPI fraternity house or at a Jewish professor's office, what have you. So it's becoming a lot more brazen in the way that it was kind of before. It was, we're not anti-Semitic, we're anti-Israel, that kind of thing. And now it's kind of, those lines have certainly been blurred, and it's been really unfortunate to watch, and kind of shows the importance of alumni stepping in and helping the students as much as we can.
How do alumni help?
It's a great question. So alumni help through many different ways, through our grassroots approach. A lot of times we'll do public facing petitions. So when something happens on campus, like I mentioned, working with Israel on Campus Coalition and all the different coalition partners, we understand not only what's going on strategically, but also like, what are students saying? What are students feeling? How are they feeling? Et cetera. And so we're able to quickly form a rapid response and understand what's going on and make specific asks of the administration of the school to directly address the issue at hand, whatever that might be. And so we do that through petitions. Sometimes we'll do it through a letter writing campaign where someone fills out a form and then an email immediately goes to the president, provost, whomever we deem appropriate. And we also, obviously, we have leadership within each chapter. So we have chapter leaders who are kind of like your president within a chapter. And then we have our core leadership, almost like your executive team. And they work directly then with our professional staff so that we can all strategize together onto what we can be doing. So maybe we're working quietly behind the scenes and speaking with an administrator. And what's been interesting since I've been in this role is that a lot of times administrators don't understand exactly what's going on, or they don't understand the complexity and the severity of what's happening. And that for us, I see that as an opportunity for us to educate and to engage. And many partners do the same thing. I think it's incredibly important. Obviously, for us, it's different because it's grassroots in nature. And when we have a petition with thousands of people signing, it's different than when one person is reaching out, saying, as an alum of X school, I'm upset because this happened. Instead, they're hearing from thousands or hundreds or thousands, et cetera. So it's a lot more impactful in that way. We've also done some public pressure campaigns within the last year that have been successful, at the same time very much a work in progress. Sure, you're aware of what's been going on within the CUNY system, the City University of New York system, where there's been virulent anti-Semitism going on this isn't just a couple of years, but for many years. The chancellor was supposed to come last summer to a hearing in City Council. He never showed up. And this is obviously quite unique because it's a city school, so it's also taxpayer funded. So it's a very different operation than it would be for a private school or even a public school. So it's a different animal altogether. But we did some really powerful and impactful public pressuring, including full page ads in the New York Post and in other local publications that, there's newspapers that anyone can get in the subway for free. And we put ads there. We did some digital advertising where we reached millions of people throughout social media.
What did these ads say? Can you give us an
So
example?
these ads were calling out the chancellor for not standing up for the Jewish community, for the Jewish students. And it was calling out his administration for not doing enough. Since then, he has come out with a plan of action, including creating a portal. Listen, this portal it's a great step, but it's certainly not even close to enough. And it's one of those where you take 2 steps forward and 1 step back. And that's what we're seeing happening with the CUNY system specifically. Just I want to say like a month or 2 ago, there was the CUNY law commencement, and the speaker there just decided to completely eviscerate Israel and any Zionist, et cetera, and completely attack the Jewish community and the pro-Israel community because of her own beliefs during a commencement speech, which was entirely inappropriate and wholly unacceptable. And so, for us, we're continuing this kind of public pressure so that the chancellor kind of recognizes the mistakes that he's making and understands what he can be doing to improve in that way. We've done that similarly also at, again, this is in the last year. I want to be very recent on purpose. And that was at GW. At George Washington University in Washington, D.C. Stand With Us, one of our closest partners, filed a Title VI complaint with the graduate, I think it's the psychology school, where a professor was targeting Jewish students and, vehemently against the idea of Israel existing and not creating an equal playing field, let's call it, for the students. And so they came out with a Title VI complaint that was accepted by the Department of Education, and they're investigating it, which is fabulous.
Wait, can you explain to our audience how they sued under Title VI? Explain a little bit more, please.
So the Title VI complaint is, it's the protection of religious freedom, et cetera. And under the Trump administration, it included the Jewish community as well. And so when those Jewish students, within the educational system feel like they're being unfairly treated or discriminated against because of their beliefs, because of their Zionism, or because of their Judaism, they're able to legally, investigate, and perhaps even working with lawyers like at the Stand With the Side Off legal department or with the Lawfare Project. There's many, or the Brandeis Center for Human Rights. There's many organizations who work with lawyers. That's beyond my scope of understanding. I'm not a lawyer, but they're able to kind of work with the students who perhaps feel like they have a case. And if it makes sense, if everything kind of fits in, then they'll officially file a Title VI complaint, which is what Stand With Us did. And the great part about this is that not only was it filed, but now the DOA, Department of Education, is actually investigating it and is looking into it. And it's not just it got filed and that's it. Now there's a full investigation, and this will take a long time. Unfortunately, at GW, the administration,
George Washington University,
GW, they decided to hire their own law firm to do an investigation of what happened, and it was totally done by their own. They hired their own law firm, third party kind of investigation, and they didn't share the findings, but they kind of wipe themselves clean of it, saying nothing went wrong after the investigation, everything was great, etc. And that we don't have any fault in this. And all of us are saying that's great. Show us the findings, and also why did you hire someone yourself? Maybe it's someone that's actually a third party, that could do it without any type of biases, could look into this, more appropriately. So what we did is, that was, many months ago, and about a month ago when commencement was happening at GW, they have commencement in the National Mall. Their major commencement is literally like Washington Monument, the National Mall. So it's a very big event. It's very powerful. And we worked with our alumni to strategize what can we do to kind of ensure that this is still at the top of the agenda for the administration, and recognize that, like, we're not going away, alumni aren't going away, students aren't going away, etc. And so we actually we hired a billboard, like a truck that drove around calling out the president, calling out the professor on supporting anti-Semitism and not taking this seriously. It was kind of like a shock and awe kind of thing, I would say. At the same time, it definitely turned heads. It definitely proved its point. We got some great publicity on it, from the student newspaper to locals, etc. So I think it's a powerful moment that we're fortunate enough to be able to kind of amplify our message in that kind of way. So our alumni work is really it varies. It can be from very small, working with very small colleges or universities, to and doing smaller things, to doing these kind of bigger projects as well. And it should be said that the issue isn't going to be solved tomorrow. This is a marathon, not a sprint, and it doesn't. We can't be willing to just let it go and to just say, it's not worth it. Anti-Semitism is here, but it's not worth it to fight. It's something that's just there. We have to accept it. This is something that we're all very conscious of. We're all worried about, and by us speaking up in our situation as alumni, and us speaking up as a unified voice continually, and not giving up, and continuing kind of being a thorn in the side of the administration, kind of chipping away at that armor, if you will. That's kind of our approach. Our approach is to bring light, to shed light on what's going on, and to ensure that the students' voices are being amplified when they want to be, or not when they don't. Students unfortunately face many repercussions, whether it be socially or academically, and same with professors as well, and who want to speak out. And we work with some amazing organizations, work with both students and professors, and I think they're all important roles, just like our role is important. And alumni equally have a seat at the table, and this is the first time that, as an organized bunch, we're able to kind of come together and sit with everyone else.
Yeah, I think we totally commend that. And alumni, for those who don't live in the United States in our audience, alumni have an important position in American universities. They sometimes or often support
Financially.
Financially, their former university, so it's important. And also they make careers that look, that also improve the image of the university. So if they do have an important voice, and I'm very happy that your organization is giving a microphone to alumni.
Yes, you're exactly right. What we usually say is, what do universities care about? They care about their reputation and their donor dollars. And those
Exactly.
are two things that alumni play an incredibly important role, outsized role, I would argue. And it's something that they're very careful about many times. And it's something that, obviously, as alumni, they care about kind of what's being said, what's the word on the street kind of thing. And that's where, we're playing a vital role.
Yeah. And also I want to stress that, I said in my introduction that I left Europe in 2006 for the United States because of the rising anti-Semitism in Europe. And that anti-Semitism began in my lifetime in the 70s in Europe at university.
Mm.
That's where it started. And from there, it spilled over to cultural elites, to the media, and eventually to the general population. There were other factors as well contributing to the resurging anti-Semitism in Europe, but the anti-Israel activism on universities and the aggressive anti-Israel activism on universities and anti-Zionist activism on universities had a big influence on all of Europe, Western Europe suddenly becoming anti-Israel and anti-Zionist. So I think it's very important what your organization is doing.
And I think it's very important that alumni know what's going on at their college, because students and professors are worried about tenure, and students are worried about their grades, because let's face it, their GPA, grade point average, when they graduate, if they want to go to law school or whatever they want, is looked at. So when they have a teacher who's adverse to them based solely on who they are, it is a real hardship that an individual student cannot on his or her own deal with. So when I heard the name of your organization, right away I thought it was brilliant. Alums for Campus Fairness. It's such a powerful idea. So what would you like alums of other colleges who aren't yet part of your network to do when they discover what's going on first they need to know what's going on at the university, and then what?
For sure. It's a great question. So, we are at that, the Kishka is at the heart of who we are. We're grassroots in nature. And so we can't grow without the help of folks like you and many others to support us. And that's through going to our website, which is campusfairness.org. And there you can sign up, you can join our growing movement. Anyone can join us. It is based, Evelyn, to your point, it is based in the United States only for now. Anyone who went to a university or college, or maybe they have kids who are currently in school or have grandkids who are currently in school, they're welcome to add their name into our system. And when something does happen, one of the things, Phyllis, that you mentioned is that when something does happen, one of the things that we pride ourselves on is educating and informing our alumni when things do happen, whether it be good or bad. And so we are able to, through our incredible system that we have, if someone, we were just talking about George Washington University at GW, if anyone is affiliated with GW, like Phyllis, let's say you have a grandkid at GW, you're now affiliated with GW because you signed up on our website. And in 10 seconds, we can email from our professional staff a GW update to anyone affiliated with GW. Here's what's going on at GW. Here's what you should know about, and here's what you can be doing, an action point that you can be taking. Or here's just an update, and we're closely monitoring it, and we will keep you posted as we learn more. So we're able to really kind of share out information as we learn. Because we're so well coalesced within the pro-Israel campus community, we're able to quickly find out what's going on. At the same time, we're not everywhere. So if someone knows something that's going on, an alum or not, knows what's going on a certain campus that we're not aware of or we haven't written about, they're welcome to share with us, that we're able to share it then with everyone else who's affiliated with that chapter. Just because we don't have a specific chapter at a specific school doesn't mean we don't have representation there. Just means we don't have a formalized leadership there, and we're obviously always looking to expand in that sense as well.
So it's always worth it for alumni who are alarmed to try to approach you and see if you can help. Correct?
100%. To email us, to join us by signing up on our website. We are here to help in any way that we can, and we've been, it's a partnership through and through.
I have a question.
And what is the kind of incidents that people should be alarmed about, maybe, to say it that way?
Listen, the incidents can be something small, like a mezuzah getting torn down in a dorm room. could be someone drawing a swastika on a dry erase board for a student, an undergraduate who experienced that. It could be a menorah being defaced at a Chabad house on campus. You know, we work with Chabad on campus regularly. The same with Hillel International as well. And we are, you know, we are currently aware and we want to be supportive as much as we can in terms of that. So it could be a statement of condemnation, putting out a press release and sharing it with the press so that we're able to amplify what's going on. It could be a BDS, a boycott, divestment, and sanctions, student government.
Boycott Israel. You mean.
Correct.
Yeah.
To call out Israel and to boycott Israel within the student government, which is largely it's largely kind of not realistic, rather it's symbolic. And so I think, you know, for us at the same time, it creates a really damaging campus environment for the Jewish and pro-Israel students. And so we want to be sure that we're supporting them as well in that time and calling it out for the hatefulness, for the hateful rhetoric. So it really could be anything that you deem, and perhaps it's something that's smaller or bigger, and we're able to kind of take it on a case-by-case basis and to share our insights as well from being so kind of locked into the community.
So hate towards Jews or hate towards Israel is something they can approach you for.
Exactly right.
Okay.
And I would like to emphasize that no X is too small. The broken windows theory, you know, you ignore that little thing and then it gets bigger and bigger. So while someone might say, oh, it's just some kid who wrote whatever on the wall. No, some kid, and then it's read by blah, 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 blah. So we encourage people when they see something small, notify on college campus, notify you before it gets bigger. I think it's very important that people realize that.
100%. It can create a cascade effect where, you know, someone thinks it's funny and then they pass it on and then they do it and it goes on. And it creates a really damaging environment for those students on campus who are Jewish, who are wearing a yarmulke on campus or an IDF shirt on campus, and they're being attacked that they never thought that would happen again. They never thought that would happen in their lifetime. And I can tell you, unfortunately, that's happened in many instances, and it's something that is not okay. You know, again, like I said in the beginning, the university is a marketplace of ideas. We're allowed to defer from we're allowed to learn about differing opinions. We're allowed to share our opinions in a respectful way. But when that line gets crossed by creating these kind of hateful environments, that's where we all have to step in.
Evelyn, do you have another question before we give Avi his last thoughts moment?
No, I don't have any further questions at this point.
So Avi, this is your moment to say whatever message you want, including repeating your URL for your organization. So go ahead.
Sure. Well, thank you. Thank you both for your time. I appreciate it. This is an important conversation to have, and I'm honored to be here as well. Again, for anyone interested, please join us at campusfairness.org. You can see all of our different happenings, things that we've done throughout the academic year, different findings that we've had. We've had different surveys and different research that we've done throughout the years, and it's really interesting to learn about what we do, and also to join us and to support us in any way possible as well. You know, we're trying to grow and expand as much as we can, and obviously, unfortunately, anti-Semitism is becoming more and more prevalent on campus, and our work is becoming more and more vital. So we appreciate everyone's support and certainly your support in amplifying our voice as well, as the I guess you can say the spokesperson, as the director for ACF. We call ourselves. So we're really thrilled, you know, to be able to take part in this conversation and to be able to play a key role within the pro-Israel campus space and the campus tapestry. We work with dozens of partners, and we're thrilled to work with them in any capacity, in any way that would make sense. And we're thrilled to be a voice for alumni in a unified manner. You know, one alumni voice countering anti-Semitism is what we go by, and it's really important. You know, like I said before, one person just sharing in an email or a letter to the administration, sharing their disdain, is very different than hearing from hundreds, if not thousands. It's way more impactful, and it's really powerful, and it puts administrations on pause. They take a pause and want to have a conversation. And many times, sometimes they don't, but at the same time, they also know that they're they're upsetting many of their alumni, which is not something they're very proud of. So
Yeah.
they take kind of second guess. So really appreciate your time, and hopefully we're able to see more people join us and to help us in countering anti-Semitism on campuses through the lens of alumni.
Thank you so much, Avi. And thank you, our listeners, for listening. For those of you who haven't yet watched the documentary that Evelyn stars in, and Never Again Is Now, it's on Amazon and YouTube. You can read more about my nonfiction Holocaust theater project at thinedgeofthewedge.com. And as we end every podcast, we say, without putting yourself in physical harm, please speak up against anti-Semitism and all hate.